James McCudden, the Kent native who'd arrived with the Royal Flying Corps in France during the opening weeks of the war, had made the transition from mechanic to observer, and then finally to pilot, winning his flyer's certificate at the beginning of 1916. By 1917, McCudden was a seasoned flyer, having served first in a two-seater unit and then on to Haviland Scouts. In February, McCudden was back in England instructing pupils at Joyce Green, an advanced training school. One student who passed through the school and was to leave a lasting impression on McCudden was Edward Corringham Mannock. Mick Mannock, born in 1887 of Scottish and Irish extraction, had come from a difficult background. Mannock's father had abandoned the family when Mick was 12 years old. After being raised in near poverty, he signed on as an apprentice lineman for the British Telephone Company. Mick was working in Turkey when the war began, and Turkey, being allied with the Axis powers, promptly put Mannock into a labor camp. After several failed escape attempts, he was thrown into a prison cell where his health steadily deteriorated. In April of 1915, his captors, believing that Mannock could be of little help to the enemy war effort, repatriated him as part of a prisoner exchange. Back in England, Mannock's proficiency in telephone communications landed him in a Royal Engineering Battalion, but what he really wanted to do was kill Germans. His imagination fired after reading about the exploits of Lano Hawker and Albert Ball. Mannock put in his request for transfer to flying. At 29 years old, Mick was rather old for aviation, and the fact that he possessed only one good eye didn't make his acceptance into the RFC seem very likely. A very determined Mannock somehow managed to talk the medical examiner into approving him fit for training, and in August of 1916 he reported to Hendon for ground school. Flying didn't come easily to Edward Mannock, but he approached his training with a seriousness of purpose that left an impression on everyone he met. A lean, hard-bitten fellow with a piercing gaze, Mick rarely smiled, and although he was a man of few words, he was quick to extol his hatred of the Germans, who he maintained were a race of vermin to be exterminated. By the time Mannock came under McCudden's tutelage at Joyce Green, he was a fair pilot but not very proficient in his landing skills. Later, when Mannock was to sit atop the list of British aces, he would routinely keep his mechanics and riggers busy, replacing propellers and repairing the broken undercarriages of machines he'd manhandled to the ground.